Hello and welcome to a very special LinkedIn Facebook Live. I'm really excited to be here this Monday evening as people are logging on. Do let us know if you can hear us all okay. We're live today on Facebook and on LinkedIn, and we're going to be chatting with Dani McFadden from the Sleep Consultant Academy about how you can turn sleep consultancy into a career. So as people are logging on, it'd be great to hear your experiences, particularly, if you've had children. What have your experiences been like of their sleep? Because I know that is how Dani got into the business. So we're going to be talking a bit about baby sleep consultancy and obviously how Dani started in the business as well. So thank you so much, Dani, for joining me this evening. It's such a pleasure to obviously chat with you and learn more about
sleep. I'm really excited.
So before we really delve, we've got loads of questions. What is baby sleep consultancy?
Oh, it's such a big question. Okay, so it's something that's been about for nearly a decade, although it's been more and more popular over the last few years. So if you have a little one, little baby, and they struggle with sleep, you can employ somebody or bring somebody as a consultant to help you achieve sleep goals, and those sleep goals are massively different for some families. Some families we work with, it's helping little one settle well for co-sleeping, so they sleep in the bed with the family, and that's their goal. But we try to help them maybe if it's they're feeding loads in the night still and they're maybe an older baby. We're trying to get them to settle there. Or it can be that, little one struggles to sleep independently in their own sleep space. And we work with families to do that as well. So the goals can range, hugely, but it's any little one that struggles with sleep.
Wow. And how did you say that? I mean, this is just a fascinating topic. And I think until you've had kids, I'm sure maybe you have some consultants that don't have children. You don't realize how, how little they can sleep as well, and how how hard it can be.
Yeah, and then everyone makes that joke when they find out you're pregnant. Oh, get your sleep now because you'll never sleep in the future. And obviously, there's a period at the beginning of the baby where they're feeding on demand, they're feeding constantly, they're feeding sometimes hourly, then it moves to a couple of hours. But once a little one gets to a certain age, and that age is different for all babies, but 6 months can often be a good age for quite a large amount of babies. It's not necessarily that they're sleeping through the night with having not any milk, but it might be that you're starting to get really good stretches.
Yeah.
So sometimes I work with families and they're about sort of 6-7 months, and they say, "Oh, I think the little one still needs a feed, but I want it to be a feed at bedtime and a feed in the morning and then one in the night, but at least getting like a stretch of 6 hours or 5 hours or whatever the goal can be." And that's realistic. So yes, there is a period where you're constantly up when little one's tummy's tiny, so they're still suckling loads, but it doesn't last forever, and that's quite a big age actually. About 6 months, parents saying, okay, we think little ones started eating solids and they're moving through a really good growth and development, but sleep's not moving as quickly. We might work with them. Another massive age that we work with babies.
I was going to say, what age is it that the parents tend to come to you?
The biggest age, and you won't be shocked given your background, that it is between 11 and 13 months. Either just before the stay-at-home parent that has been doing parental leave is going back, or they've gone back and they realize they cannot function and continue to do what they were doing when they weren't working. So that's a big age at around sort of the 12-month mark that we start to work with families as well.
Wow. And then I know we're jumping ahead because I've got the question, but how long do you typically work with families for, and then how long does it take?
So we have our own practice, as well as teaching and training sleep consultants. We have what we call a responsive, kind of gentle approach to sleep consultancy. So in our training, when we train students, we teach the entire spectrum of sleep consultant methodology, because there is space for everything. We personally have quite a gradual approach, and that suits some families. So we can be with our families anywhere between 2 and 3 weeks. So we offer 3-week support. Yeah, we can do that. So, but people come to us through choice to work a little bit more gradually. Where you might have another family that just needs to go at a bit more pace. The little one's very independent and don't like lots and lots of support. And then, you can see results in sort of 5 days. So that they're completely different. And what I always tell our graduates, and the reason that we don't train you just to be kind of how we practice in our own consultancy, we train everything, is because you have to believe in the service you're offering. You just won't be able to support a family. So if you sit in a certain space where you believe in going very gradually, very gently, you really wouldn't be able to support a family with a more progressive model, because I always think if you wouldn't use it on your own little ones or your own niece or nephew, then you probably can't support a family with much conviction. So people come on a journey with us to kind of do sleep training and find out the pros and cons and benefits of all of the different training methods, and they end up finding their spot themselves as they go through the course, which is lovely.
Really nice. So how did you get involved in it then?
So we got involved with our eldest son. So I've been very open in my journey. I think that so many people never used to be, but are now. But we lost a baby before we had Teddy. So it very much suited me when he was born to just have him on my chest the entire time, and I was happy with that. And so many families come to me and think, should I do this? Should I do this? Or can I not do this? Is that wrong? No, it's what suits a family at a time. And also my little guy had reflux, so he needed to be upright quite a lot. But then the reflux passed when he was about 4 or 5 months. We started to come out the other side of that. And then by about 6 months, and I was reading about things like SIDS and all that sort of thing, And but we got to about the 6-month mark, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to put him down now, for him to sleep in the bassinet in our room rather than kind of being on me. Obviously, I put him down, and he goes, bah. Because
he loved being on your chest.
So exactly. So that's where he'd got used to. And I tried to do it myself. So I tried to kind of ease him off, my husband as well. And we just didn't have a very good time with it.
Yeah.
Someone recommended, reach out to a sleep consultant, which is what we did. And it changed our life, but not to the point, not obviously so much so that we ended up training and doing it ourselves, but the impact to our family was so big. I think I was kind of going down the road a bit postnatal depression. I wasn't getting any sleep. I was, up quite a bit. And so this change to us, it made me enjoy being a parent again. Like, it really was. I kind of hit a low point, and we work with so many families in similar positions. Other families that kind of haven't got themselves into that point, and they just want to make smaller change, all the way through to families that have got kind of big journeys that we support them on. So that's how we got into it, and And
what were you doing before then? Before you were doing this?
And this is what's always really interesting. Even we said about before. So for the beginning, when we first started, Chris used to be in operations, in financial services. I do HR. It was completely different careers that we're doing sleep. And so many people, when they come to us and say about training, this business doesn't go from, I suppose if you apply for a corporate job or a retail job or anything, you apply for a job and you know what you're getting paid from day one. That's what happens. And this is a slightly different. So many of our students either make the decision to do it as at the beginning, either as a second income, or we work with lots of our students are on maternity, or they've actually just coming out of a period of kind of not being in the workforce, often with caring responsibilities, and then moving into something's flashing. Is that my side? Coming into kind of caring responsibilities and then starting to build this up as a bit of a transactional thing. And that's what so many people do. I mean, there are people that come out and say, right, I'm doing this from day one. But it does take a little while to build the business, build a really good stable income from it. So we typically say to people, it can take about 6 months before you could potentially step away from another job.
But that's quite good, I mean, as somebody that's a business owner myself, it took me 6 months to start being afford to basically pay myself. And even now I'm paid, I pay myself way less than I would do.
But
you do, I think you do it for other things, but I mean, that's really good to know. I mean, talk us through, I guess, the early days then of your, we'll talk about the training, but what do the early days look like then of being a sleep consultant, and what's that lifestyle look like and career look like?
And it's the flexibility. So there's 2 big reasons that you go into sleep consultancy. One is the love of helping families. And I always, people say to me, who can be a sleep consultant? Empathy is one of the biggest traits that you need to go into this. You often meet families that are in, kind of quite a difficult point in their lives. They're coming to you, they're sleep deprived. It's quite an emotional journey, and being able to support someone and really resonate and connect is one of the main qualities that you need. We can teach the rest. It's that needs to be there, and often being on a sleep journey yourself, or help watching family and friends go through tough times of sleep really gives you that empathy. That's something that you need from kind of day one. But you asked me.
I was asking what the career. So we'll talk about the training, but what we talk. What do people? What's a day in the life of a sleep consultant?
Oh, sorry. Yes, and then so it's. The other main reason, apart from kind of wanting to do that with the families, that's why I was going with flexibility. So many of our graduates are looking for a more flexible kind of work-life balance. So at the beginning, like with any business, you immerse yourself in it. You do. So the first, I'd say, kind of few months, you'll get everything off the ground, and people go down different routes of marketing. So it's trying to, if you want to do it via socials, if you want to do it via local, it depends where you are, and that's where you're going to spend a huge amount of time. And the nice thing about that is you just do that in your own time. So if you've got a little one that naps, and then you've got evenings, you can have your full day with them and then be working kind of on stuff in the afternoon, in the evening, and you can build it up at the pace that you want to. If you've ever met my husband, who kind of we first branded as the Daddy Sleep Consultant, that was not his route. He is full gun, kind of into everything. So you see, he spent lots of hours at the beginning doing that. But that's a nice thing. It's there's a certain amount of things that you need to do, and you either do it at, you achieve that at whatever pace you need to be. Getting yourself registered, getting yourself set up. But the nice thing is when you start working with clients, once the business has been kind of up and branded, most of your families that you work for that are kind of wanting to work with you have also, they've all got little ones, otherwise they wouldn't be working with you. And there's a time, or during kind of while the other one's at school, or when the one's gone down after bed. So there's so much flexibility. So your day starts depending on what you are. So you might be that you're working full time. So you can only do evening consultations or weekend consultations when you first start. You might be on maternity leave or taking a period of absence for caring leave. So you've got more flexibility. So it all depends on where you are. And my graduates tend to fit into kind of one of those three camps, either kind of out of work, taking a period of leave, part-time, and then looking for something they don't want to go back full-time and they want to take a second move, or they're working full-time, and then this is going to be taken over. It's going to be a more gradual burn as it starts to take over their full-time income. So yeah.
Brilliant. So you talked about hi Stuart, thank you for watching. You talked about like the system, you're setting yourself up. So if someone comes and trains with you, how much support do they get in setting themselves up? And you talked about registering and
so there's two ways that you can train with us. One of them is to come and do a certification. So every sleep consultant that works and practices needs to have done a certification. So we partner with the Open College Network to do that. They're one of the best providers. It took us longer to get it off the ground because we wanted to partner with them. Their monitoring and ethos is fantastic. So we do it with those. And that's all done online in your own time.
And everybody, so you couldn't just think, I've had a poor sleeper and I got them sleeping, so I'm going to just start tomorrow. You couldn't do that.
Yeah, and that's how we started training. Is that when we look back sort of 5 years ago and look at the quality of the certification we did, if we knew now, could have known then what we know now, we would have been better sleep consultants from day one. So the course is packed with so much information, and sometimes people say, there's too much, we don't want to overwhelm someone with too much information, but you've got lifetime access. So people use it, they call it their Bible. So even if something might sound it's a bit complex from what I'm doing at the beginning, you just go back and keep tapping into it. Like it's constantly there for your referral for however long you're training, which is lovely. It's not one of these ones where you do it and then that's it's gone once you've submitted your assessment. It's your material. And you do get support with that. So we have a Facebook community that we support, that it's peer-to-peer support. So, other sleep consultants that are just starting out use that as a platform to talk about, I've got this new client and this is happening with a little one. What do we, it's that kind of thing. So that's really nice. But that's more aimed at somebody who is confident to set up a business themselves. So we have lots of people that maybe have a bit of a marketing background or have set up a business. I know one of the ladies that's just joined had a kind of a side perfume business, and so really knows how to set up a social media account and those kind of things. So that was enough for her, and that's what we did at the beginning. But we also offer full business support and setup. So you would do all the reading for your certification, and then you would come on and join us for a weekend. It's all virtual, so we train people all over the world. And you do a full day on the Friday, and then a half day Saturday, half day Sunday. That first weekend is all about sleep. So we actually, instead of it just being that you've read the literature about different sleep training practices, we give you, we ask our clients to do a diary, like a sleep diary, a journal for a few days before we sit down and work through a plan with them, because then we get to know the little one and what's happening. We give like real diaries to our students like the day before coming on the course, so they can make all notes and almost try to formulate a bit of a plan. Like, what would I do? I've learned all this stuff, but what would I do now? And then the day is really immersive. So we obviously, after introductions, we go into little groups and we talk with other people on the course. What would you have done in this situation? I thought about using this method, and it's lovely. And then you come back and we talk about it as a group, what people have done. And there's no right or wrong, because there's all different methods you can use, but it's the pros and cons of all of the different ones. And then we talk them through what we did, how it panned out, what happened. And there's loads of examples through the first day. It's quite it's elevating the knowledge into kind of practical use, and that gives a lot of people confidence, because you feel like we do quite a lot of those, maybe 4 or 5 case studies throughout that weekend. So you always feel like you've been through the process in a safe space, rather than working with a family for the first time, and going through that. So that's the weekend. We go into complex cases, all different things that you want to know. And then the evening, so there's 5 2-hour evening sessions, and that's the business side of things. So our Instagram account's about 40,000 followers. We kind of go behind the scenes on that. How did we get there? What do we do? What's the strategy? Kind of more importantly, what have we done wrong? Because we've made loads of mistakes. I think people aren't always open to talk about the things that we've done wrong, and we've definitely made some mistakes on this journey. We talk about local marketing, kind of digital marketing. There's loads on that side of things. And then one of the sessions is great. It's actually a branding session we did with a PR company. Spent thousands on it. And we do that session, or a very similar session, where we help them come out with their brand name, logo, that kind of thing. And then we do the client process. There's loads. It's really
it does sound really good. Yeah, it sounds fantastic. And how many people do you have then doing that training?
We target around 10.
That's quite a nice intimate group then.
It's lovely, it really is. And 10's a nice number, sometimes 12. And this is where we may go over the 10 if somebody is completely not attending all of the sessions. So we had a lovely lady on the cohort that we just had in Australia, so it wasn't actually on any of the live sessions. It was just the support framework that we give. And what we do for all of the classes, if you can't attend in person, they're all recorded, so then you watch it back. So that was it depends. If we've got people that are completely virtual and aren't there, then we'll take a bigger number to give everyone the opportunity, because we only do 4 a year. That's the thing.
I was going to say, so when's your next one then?
September. So the next one's September. It's the end of September. The week of the 22nd is the main weekend, and then the evenings will are over the next 3 weeks after that weekend.
And then
so you're with about a month.
Okay, so it takes about a month, does it?
You're with us the main weekend, and then we don't like to then kind of force you into the business stuff. So we take a few day break, and in the evening sessions we have 2 a week, because we first start with the branding. And that then we give you a few days to kind of get that into place, and then we get into some of the marketing, because it really is. There's lots of work to do in between. You can do in your own time. Lots of people use their evenings and things. So we keep it so it's not hugely intense. but I know that there's other trainers that you can do over 6 months. We've played around with different dates, and actually people lose momentum. So a month's a nice time to give you that space to digest, but also keep you moving. I'm like the most impatient person in the world. So
it sounds good because it allows, you know, if someone's watching this and they thought, you know, 2023, you know, it's whizzing through this year, but, you know, this was the year they were going to do something for them. They were going to, you know, make the change. It's a really good opportunity to finish the year strong, isn't it? And
oh, gosh, yeah. And then this is where the reason we love training in September is the summer's quieter. The sleep consultant gets the people away, so that the summer can be a quieter period. But once you start getting towards the end of the year, people say, I need a baby. I can't do Christmas with a baby not sleeping, or New Year, new me. Gonna get this January and February is so busy. Why we love, and we pick the date in September, it means that you're training and you're kind of coming up into a really busy season, which just gives you a lot of opportunity to work with clients and grow quickly. It's nice. It's a nice time to train.
I think it's, well, thanks Wendy for joining us. So someone's finished your course, they've got their qualification. So you say you cap the business training one to about 10-12. Do you cap the certification, or is that
no, anyone can do their certification? That's
a time, or can you do that anytime?
Yeah, anytime the certification. Yeah, it's just someone that wants to do it completely self-paced, and they work through that themselves. So that's quite nice. And then they can join the community at any point. So that's fine. Yeah, it's the reason that we do the courses 4 times a year is just making sure that we can support everybody. So once you come off the course, there's 3 months of support. So one of the things that we love doing is we actually, for the cohort, you get put into a WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
And these, I say, you know, we obviously love having men. My husband's a male sleep consultant. We have trained another guy. And I know there's another man out in Europe now, which is lovely to see dads being part of this space. But I mean, it's a lot of women. So when they come off the cohort, they go into, after the session 1, they go into a WhatsApp group, and the support they give each other is amazing. Like, these are your crew, I guess, is the way, you know, to put it. And they are supporting each other with clients. They support each other in their socials. They're busy. They send each other all their different bits for feedback, and it's just a really lovely, honest, connected space. It's really nice. So, and they go on. You know, I'm in groups from from the beginning, and it's so nice to see that they're still alive. But what we do is we know that people, one of the biggest kind of reasons that people say, I'm really nervous about this, is then actually, yes, okay, the training's supportive. However, then going to work with a real life client with their baby feels a bit daunting. So we mentor you through your first client. So once you've got the baby's logs, the diary that you've often collected, or people do it as a questionnaires or different ways, we sit down on a Zoom like this, and we will go through your observations and things from the diary to make sure that you've got someone, you know, that's experienced to talk it through, help you with the program that you're going to give the little one, and then however long you support them, we support you. So it could be that some of the family's messaging and saying, oh, this has happened, and you say, oh God, I don't know what to do. You know, we're behind you the whole way. Just hold your hand through it. So, and that first one, like everything, the first one is always the one that's the. So once you've gone through a process, and then what we do is we do weekly calls with our graduates, and we try to make sure that everybody can attend. So alternate weeks, it's a lunchtime and then an evening. So 1 week lunchtime, 1 week evening, 1 week lunchtime, 1 week evening. So you're always going to get the support wherever, you know, it's not just if you're a night worker and there's an evening session. So we make sure that everyone can attend. Obviously, everyone can attend weekly if they want. But when you start working with clients, it's a really nice check-in to say, this is going on. What's your view? And we talk you through and support you. Or we've got loads of graduates that join the call, and often they support each other, which is even nicer.
That's really. And is it just your cohort that joins these weekly calls, or
no? You go into it's all of our graduates. So
you join your call if you did it 6 months ago.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So you get 3 months support. You can continue with it. People do. But we love having a big community. You can continue past your kind of 3 months and continue with the weekly calls, because even if you don't have a question, sometimes we have people come and they actually haven't got anything to talk about, but they love coming to listen to the sorts of challenges that others are having. It just builds up your knowledge. You immerse yourself in it. It's just continuous training, really.
Absolutely. Oh, thanks, Adette, for joining us today. I'm trying. There was another question. Sorry, it's just slipped my mind. I'm just seeing if I've written what I've written down. I did have another question, and it has just absolutely slipped my mind. So in terms of that was it. How do people find their early clients? Do you do consultancy via Zoom or face to face? And
it all depends. We just had a really lovely graduate that just trained with us, who is a sleep consultant, and she's just in home. So she's ready to pivot her business to being online. So she come to join us because she said, she knows how to do in-home support, but not when people say. So there are loads of sleep consultants just like her that do in-home support. It's obviously there's a higher cost for that. You can be, it could be a couple of £1,000 for you to be in someone's home working with the little one, because
you sleep over there. I suppose it's up to the.
There's all different ones. There's so many different ways that you can do it. You can just go and support bedtime when the little one's initially settling, or you can do the whole night, or you can just do a few nights, or you can do 2 weeks. The possibilities are endless. So I personally don't do any in-home anymore, just because I've got 3 boys under 5. It just doesn't work for me to be supporting someone kind of on a shift. So all of my business is completely virtual. So I work with people all over the world, loads locally, loads across the UK, and we would, work with the diary. Once I've received that, we would sit down on a Zoom call for about an hour, talk through my observations, their sleep goals, and then talk about the plan. And then they have a plan, and then I typically support them. I love WhatsApp groups. And the reason that I love supporting a family with a WhatsApp group is I can do it anywhere. So I can be on the school run, they've messaged a question, and I can, I'm literally kind of dragging a 3-year-old along, and I can quickly send a voice note to answer the question. Where some of my graduates work, kind of do it around full-time work. So they just, my biggest tip is the honest, transparent communication with your client. So if you say to them, I'm available from 7 to 8 in the morning, I'm available, I'll respond between 11 and 12, which is your lunch break, or then between, say, 7 to 8 in the evening when the kids have gone down. They know when they're going to receive communication support, and that's enough support to offer. Or versus me, who doesn't like to be tied to the computer for certain hours in the day and just wants to be out and about doing stuff and have that flexibility. So I love a WhatsApp group because I can just support someone on the move, and it means that I actually feel like I'm working less. Because I've not got these sort of set hours I know I need to be around. But it depends on how that's the beauty of it. It depends on how you are structuring your business. That suits so many people. So many sleep consultants don't do WhatsApp support. They say, included in this price, you get 5 emails. So, we check in every couple of days via email. So they take notes, and then we check in, because, you need to give some time to embed. It's, sometimes when you do daily support, someone said, this is my trouble on day 1. Well, actually, let's give it a couple of days before we check in. So again, it's also a really nice way to support someone. There's no right or wrong, or one's better than the other. They're just different. So it's making sure that it's suit for your lifestyle, your family, kind of what else you've got going on. That's the nice bit about it.
So how lucrative is it? What are typical earnings of a sleep consultant? What can they potentially make?
This is probably the number one question I get asked. It's as long as a piece of string, and I wish I could give you a set answer. So I try to frame it into, it can be amazing second income, or it can be a 6-figure business. The possibility is endless, and it starts somewhere, and you can grow it and continue to grow it until you're comfortable and you're working the amount of hours. But so let's say you're an average starting sleep consultant could charge £300 per client when they're first starting out. That's a good, nice number to.
And how much work would that be then for £300?
And it all depends on your profile. So it's hard for me to answer. Let me answer for me. So I'm £400 to come and work with me, and I work with a little one at the moment. Prices will obviously always change, but right now I'm £400. I typically, on average, will spend about 4 hours with that family. Okay. So by the time I get the it is because, and so I'll get the diary. I'll assess the diary. That can take me a period of time. I do the consultation. I type up the program. The reason I'm probably less now is because we've worked in nearly 1,300 families. I can write a program so quickly. When I first started, it was probably long. It was longer because it would take me longer to write a program because you're not in the flow of it. Like I it's just very quick. So you can be with a family about 4 hours, but that's on average. And I still track that. So sometimes I can be with a family like 3 hours. They're just, the little one flies with the program. They check in with me, and it's kind of a thumbs up, things are going really well. And there's not many tweaks that you need to make. And that's why I do daily support as well, because you can make tweaks in real time. Versus, I can have another family and I might be with them over 5 hours, maybe even a bit longer, because a little one struggles and there's much more support. So that's how it works. But so I talk about an average. So it's an average of about 4 hours, I would say, per family over the course of, to me, a 3-week period. But some people do it in two weeks. It might even be less. So let's just say it's about £300.
Yep.
Say you take on 1 client a week, which is obviously very manageable. You're looking at about £1,200 a month.
For quite part-time, really.
Yeah, I mean, 4 hours a week. That's it's half a day's work. It could be about £1,200. So then if you say you might want to take 2 families on per week, so that's £600 a week. You're starting to look at what, 2,400. Now you get my maths.
It's like replacement income, then, isn't it, for a lot of people?
Then that's where it comes to, yeah, and it can, and then that's what we say when you start up. There are quick routes to get clients, and that's using Google advertising and things like that, which we talk about. There's quick routes to get clients, or you build up a very local space, and you that might build a little bit slower, which is again wonderful. But we have loads and loads of strategies of how to get your first client, depending on what avenue you're going to take. And that's like one of the big sessions that we do on the course, is how to get a first client. We also could give you a first client. We always encourage our students to get a paid client to start with, because there's a psychology to it. When you invest some money in something, you just give it your all, because you're ready. You've made a step, and that's the only thing you need from a client, is just to be ready to make change. That's all, and you do the rest. You guide them through that. So if you, so we often do, we've got a big social media account, and people love a freebie. So sometimes people say to me, I'm not comfortable charging some of the first one. I just want to do it, that way. We can do that. But we love it when we say, we've got so many routes for you to get paid clients to start with, and they gives you that commitment to just really focus on it. Because I would hate for someone to, to start, and then the person hadn't given it their all because it was not bad. So that's always advice, but we have loads of options, which is lovely. So getting your first client, that's one of the next big question. Where do you get your first client?
Yeah, it sounds great. It's a really lucrative career for somebody that wants something that's quite, it's not passive, because I won't say it's passive, because you obviously have to go and find your clients, but it's a career that can really work around you. And
this is what the tipping point, it becomes a full-time career, and it all depends on people's earning potential. We were in financial services, so our tipping point was a bit higher than others that aren't looking for, it depends what income you need to run your household. But the big tipping point for most people is, once you've got a nice amount of clients, those clients recommend you. And when those clients start recommending you, it's like a spider's web. Then those clients recommend you, and then those clients recommend you, and you end up, you build a lovely portfolio. I have a lady that studied with me in November. She fully set up a business for about January, and within about 4 months, she'd gone down to 3 days a week at her job.
Yeah.
And that was what her goal was. And we had a call. She was on our call a couple of weeks ago. She said that she's now turning down clients because she couldn't manage 3 days at the job and clients. And she's got a big life choice to make, is whether she just goes into this now. And she never thought, that's not what the goal was when she first trained. It was to have a bit more flexibility, still work 3 days in a career she quite, she enjoyed, and then have this. And actually she's saying, wow, actually this could take over and I could be fully flexible at home. So it's the possibilities are endless.
Absolutely. And it's a job.
I think that you were just kind of saying there, when it takes you to pay back your investment, when you're starting
a business, will it?
It's like, it's about 8 clients. So there's not many businesses that you can be, there's some businesses that don't make profit for like 2 years, when you're setting something up. So, it can pay back quickly, which is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about the investment then. So what's the investment? Because you've got the certification and then the course. So
yes, so just to do the certification, it's $399, so £399. And then, you know, with that you get your certificate and everything once you've completed that. To come and train with us in person, virtually, but live training, it's $2,999, so just under the 3,000. But you get the certification included, so you don't do that on top. That's, you know, once that's the fee that includes both.
Yeah.
The only thing that we ask our students to do before they come and train with us, they have to have done their reading for their certification, because what we don't want to do is be on the course saying, this is a sleep training method. This is, you turn up with the knowledge. There's about 10 hours of study before you join, which you do in your own time, and then we bring it to life. You know, we want it to be really kind of immersive and using the knowledge to enhance your sleep skills, rather than kind of being on a blackboard. This is the different sleep training methods. So that's the only real prerequisite we say is, you know, we've got the course in September, just having enough time for you to do 10 hours. Now, I know some people would want the full 2.5 months to read those 10 hours.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going on holiday, you could probably read a bit of it.
Yeah, you can do it all via your phone, which is quite nice. And then you've got other people. I had somebody sign up for one of the courses like with a week to go, and this is like 10 hours, not a bother. I can bash through that, and it depends on your style. Everyone knows themselves, don't they?
If you're a crammer or not.
Oh yeah, I do crammer, yeah.
Brilliant. Oh, it sounds fantastic. And you know what else? I mean, you're never going to have a shortage of clients, because there's always babies that do not sleep.
So this is the big driver behind the academy. People have wait lists. So you know, it's us. It was Chris, and then I come on board. Then we had someone in Ireland because we just couldn't service clients out there. And we've got to the point now where we're more comfortable. We have to turn people away because I could do more hours.
Yeah.
But also then there comes a point where I start to compromise. I've got 3 under 5, and that's the biggest driver for me is flexibility. Like Chris wanted to do something to support and give back. That was his big driver. He worked in, you know, corporate life and felt a bit of a cog in a wheel, and he was really moved by being able to change people's lives in that way. And I love that. Like, I love that we do that. But my huge motivation is the flexibility it gives around the family. You know, just being there for sports day, being there to take the kids. That's another driver. So I would say I work part time. I will cap the amount of clients I take on to make sure that I have. You know, I'll take on less over the summer when my eldest is off school and my little guy's off preschool. So that's the nice thing is you have complete control over, you know, what hours you work.
Yeah, I love it. And you know, like we said, there is always babies being born, and there's always babies then that don't sleep, and there's always parents that sleep deprived and need your help.
Yeah, it's not. It's you know, people have got wait lists, and we love it when someone comes, particularly. And I always ask someone because we have a call. That's the thing. Please book a call if anyone wants to ask the questions. It's a completely personal journey. I always love having a call with people to talk them through what the options are. And you know, I love it when someone says that an area, and I know it's underserviced, like completely up, and there's no one there or very few people there. Or I also know that people are coming to us from all over the country because there's just not the call for sleep consultants in the area. And it's so nice to know that, you know, that service is there for families, because it's so important for mental health, for, you know, confidence. When little ones go to nursery, it's another big stage again around that. That's why I think the 11 to 13 months is such a big age. If a little one is kind of breastfeeding to sleep and has got, you know, won't go to sleep unless they're breastfed, there's such anxiety for parents when they're taking little ones to nursery, and obviously there's no booby at nursery, so they just don't even know how they're going to sleep. So it's trying to break maybe that association. That's another big one before we get to nursery. So and obviously that's
I guess if a sibling's being born, that's probably the older one's not sleeping. There's a lot, isn't there? A lot of triggers, which is obviously good for your business and good for your
exactly.
business. So how can people find you, learn more about you and the courses?
Yes, so we are the Sleep Consultant Academy. We're on Instagram at the Sleep Consultant Academy, and also our website www.thesleepconsultantacademy.com. And I think we're on your website. There's links to us there. So please come. As I said, I love a call, or just, you know, if you don't want to commit to a call at the moment, you've just got some exploratory questions, drop us a DM or an email, and we're happy to talk you through anything.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Dani, for joining us this evening. Thank you so much to everybody that has watched live and on the replay, and I'll make sure that the replay is sent out to those that have asked for it. Thank you so much, Dani.
Thanks, Liz. All right, have a nice evening.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.